Hello people of the internets, and welcome to this video where I will be attempting to build a rival for the Mark III Volkswagen Golf VR6. I decided it would be an interesting vehicle to make a rival to, but we're also in 1992, I'll mention while I'm at it, because it's a older vehicle. Now, I don't like modern vehicles, but also it would be interesting, I thought, to make a competitor to the Golf. And why am I messing with this body? I don't know. It's not really the same type of car. Now, we do have what looks like a kind of old Skoda, actually, which is possibly based on a Volkswagen. One of these is a Golf, I think. You know, so we could use that. Actually looks like a Peugeot to me. So, the perfect body to rival a Volkswagen then, because it's a competing brand that was around at the same kind of time. Now, hopefully we can bring that forwards a little. No. It becomes a bit of an MPV if we do that. So hard to find the balance. If only we could get... What am I saying? If only we could get a two-door version of it, then... Or is it three-door? Three-door! Yes, I got there eventually, instead of a five-door. We could use that to our advantage. I think that's a bit too SUV for us to use, though. This particular body now, not the last one I was on. There's just so many bodies. I think we want past 10 years, though, realistically, which narrows it down to these two. The one I was just on, and this one is apparently available as a hatchback. I'm guessing it's that, but look how massive it is. So we want this. It's a hatchback, it's from the right time period. In time, and we can hopefully make it look good somehow. Now bring the front back. No, can't really bring the front back. Okay. Yeah, we can make it look somewhat like a Nissan R34. Not that much like one, but a bit more than it did, but we don't really want to do that. It's like those Nissan Stag Gears, or however you pronounce that, where they do a Nissan Skyline front swap, and it just doesn't look right to me. The Staggia should be a different car to the Skyline, if you see what I mean. Not that there's anything wrong looking with either of the cars from standard, it's just when you try and face swap them, life isn't a game of face swap. Yeah, but when you try and do that, it just doesn't work so well. Now, we want a unitary construction, I think. We won't use cutting edge materials like carbon fibre, no. What do we have though? Can we mass produce these? I think we can. Corrosion is low there, which is very good. It's the early 90s here, so we're not talking really primitive. Corrosion is average, so we'll go with corrosion resistant steel because it should be good for corrosion resistance, naturally. It'll be front transverse. Same as the Volkswagen is. The Volkswagen's not rear-wheel drive or anything, it is just a two-wheel drive model. And I think we'll go with double wishbones all round, like an older Honda Civic had back in the day. Yay, sportiness. Could go with multi-link, but I think that comes a bit later. For now, we just want double wishbone. Now, we can go with some corrosion-resistant steel, I think. Corrosion is lower on some technologies. I'm just thinking, how does it compare? Yeah, aluminium is apparently lower than corrosion resistant steel. That sounds feasible, but we're going with corrosion resistant steel because it's a early 90s hatchback. There we go. And yeah, corrosion resistant steel, chassis and panel material. So there's a lot of steel in this vehicle. It's not like later cars where they move to aluminium. Yes, I've just been left to my own devices on the car builder design a bit, so yeah, I say car builder, it's all a car builder. Wow, that doesn't actually look too bad. It looks a little wisery, but other than the minor wisery bits of it, the design, it's not too bad. I do just need to stick the bits on here though and be done with it because I have to move on to creating the engine, which I have a plan for. I'm not sure how it will go. As with my other videos on this game, it goes how it goes. I can't just magically come back and change the past. If an engine isn't working, I might have to redesign it. That's probably the worst case for this vehicle. but I think it should work what I'm intending to do with it. Now we're just going to get a grill on, and we'll see how that goes. I think we'll put this one fairly low down and fairly thin. Should give us the cooling we need. I'm not sure what I'll do above that, but I'll work something out. Now, transverse front wheel drive is what we want. And we'll have an inline 4. Fully aluminium, I think, actually. And we'll go back to overhead cam, 4 valve per cylinder. Now we have more trouble fitting this than I thought. That could be because it might be a Peugeot 106 body as opposed to a 306, which I'm seeming to think it is. I'm pretty sure it's a 306, but I could be wrong, and it could be a 106, which would explain the size. The 106 naturally being a smaller car. Now, I think we can still get about 1.7 litres in here, which is what I intended. I don't want to go mad with the displacement of this. I think if we can get a decently high revving square engine, I'll be happy. So I'll just let you watch through, because it won't take long. Come on, jump. There we go. Looks like we're trying to somehow do a 1.4. It might end up with either a turbo or a dual overhead cam setup, but we'll have to see how it goes. So I'll return when I've put something together with it. Okay, so here is our inline 4 engine with 4 valve per cylinders, dual overhead cam, and it's 1.4 litres. Now, that's because I really struggled to get power out of this. I couldn't even get the 150 horsepower I wanted to, but I didn't want to go with a turbo because that adds so much weight and complexity to it. Well, I say that, it's already really complex. You'll see 142 horsepower. It's very high-end power and torque. I've got all the highest end stuff here in an attempt to get it to function without blowing up, which is always something. You can actually change that and get away with it, but I don't see a need to. And we have fairly average compression here. I've all set this up already. I could probably actually do that, yes. And that's not really affected the power. It might have actually improved the torque. No, I don't know. It's hard to truly say which is best when you just find something else and tweak it and it makes the vehicle so much better. There we go. I think that's slightly better than we had before. The exhaust is 2 inches, which is about perfect for this vehicle. I can say now I wouldn't want something larger. Although that in itself isn't a stupidly huge exhaust, if I were to start going larger than that, it would become a stupidly large exhaust. Now I'll let it run so you can hear it. You'll see at the very high RPMs it gets quite stressed, but other than that it's fine, and it revs to 8800 as well, I'll mention that now. It's a really high revving engine. I mean, I couldn't see a way of making the power other than going larger or making it what it is, extremely high revving. It's about half the size of the engine in the Volkswagen, so it's pretty tiny really. And we're making good power from it though. Now we're going to go with a 5-speed transmission, the same as the Volkswagen. Only I think the low end will be important here, so we have a tighter low end because the engine is not going to fill in the gaps there. Now I'm just hoping that the torque is enough and the power is enough to propel this body. I might have to go light on the infotainment though, just to make sure it can compete, because we're going to have a hard job competing with a 7.4 second 0 to 60 time with this engine. I mean, maybe a turbo will be the only way of getting what I want, we'll have to see. For now, we're going to go with a differential. Vicious is pretty cheap, so we'll go with that. Might go to geared though. The price isn't ridiculous, so if we need a geared differential, I see no problem putting one of those in. Now, the tyres. Honestly, 185s will probably do the job. I say that. The rear won't fit 185s. that needs fixing slightly. We can actually flare the arches. It is a sporty car, so, you know, we can get away with this kind of thing. Just as long as we don't go ridiculous, we have to remember it still is a road car. We can go with 205s even now. Nice. I'll put 205s on for now, although I may change them later. Oh, and that's still glowing, it shouldn't be. We'll go with hard compound tyres. Again, we may very well change that later. This is only temporary. And alloy wheels of sorts. Yeah, let's go with something like those. Or those. It's hard to say. These ones. They kind of suit it. Let's go with 17-inch ones. That looks quite nice to me. And we'll go with 2-piston solid discs on the front. Seem like pretty good brakes for the early 90s, even if they're not vented. At about 270mm. Again, for the time, they are pretty good brakes. And we'll go with solid discs on the rear, but single piston brakes at about 220mm. So that should balance out quite nicely. Disc brakes all around here. Now, if we can't beat the Volkswagen for speed, we can at least beat it for handling. That's the way I'm thinking now. We can go with a fully clad under tray, keep it aerodynamic. And we've got far too much cooling airflow. We need to change that grille eventually, but so we will. We'll go with 5 seats. And look at how wide this stance is. Oh, looks worse from certain angles, I think. Like there, it looks really wide. You look at it from the top, it's not actually that ridiculous. Although, now I think of it, the front is out more than it perhaps should be. There we go. How does that look? Better. I'll say better, yeah. Are we still on 205 tyres though, I wonder? Presumably we are. Oh dear. Okay, so minor panic averted. Automation basically decided I couldn't use my vehicle. So I had to create another trim and then finish off the rest of it. And we're back to where we were. Only I've changed the cooling and the design of the car. Which, as you'll see, not the most impressive thing in the world, but it has got some chrome bits, you know me. And overall, it's not a horrible design. Not the prettiest in the world, but it works. It's not particularly offensive. Not to me, at least. Now, we maybe could try downforce. Yeah, let's see what downforce we can get. No, let's not see what downforce we can get. I was just thinking we have no aero on this car. And we have very little power. So it's probably not a good idea. Now, I think we want a premium interior with a basic cassette. And we can have power steering, anti-lock braking, and traction control. Because we're so fancy. Or do we want all that complexity? I'll reconsider the power steering and traction control. If it's already good at those things that it's supposed to help it with. I can put words together. We'll go with fairly basic safety, I think. Or will we? Truth be told, standard isn't that heavy. We'll go with standard. We'll go with some hydro pneumatic comfort suspension. Yay! Just like a sport Citroen, if such a thing even exists. And let's see. 1070.2 kilograms. Not the lightest in the world, but it is lighter than the Volkswagen, which is 1155 kilograms. So I'm somewhat disappointed. Not really that much though. But it just feels like a Golf with a lighter engine. There's got to be some way we can reduce the weight in this. Problem is, as I say, it did mess up my design, so I can't change everything. Now, there is all these limited production materials, but I don't think we can use them. Steel. It might save a bit of weight using that, but I'd rather have the corrosion resistance on the car, to be honest. Now, How fast can it accelerate, though? If we can get the acceleration together, maybe it won't matter. Maybe we can just compromise economy instead. After all, no one cares about economy. Although it is fairly good. That much to be said. Yes, I can English. Eventually. We're looking at 1.1 seconds slower to 60 now. Which is not good enough. So I think what I'm going to have to do is put a turbocharger on the engine. Because I see no reason I couldn't compete with a Golf with a turbocharger. But as it is, it's slightly lighter but not enough to make a true difference. So I'll return when I've done that. Okay, so here we have our technological nightmare. Ooh, look at my turbo head. Anyway, there is a fairly small turbo actually. Knowing me, you'd expect something massive, but no, I actually didn't need it for once. We're only trying to beat a 174 horsepower Golf, and we've done that by a decent enough 17 horsepower, as I'll get into now with V-curve. You'll see it's not too bad. Power comes on at 3500-ish RPM, but you wouldn't notice that as much as you'd think. And it's front wheel drive as well, so it's a much safer drive line. It's not like we're doing it with rear wheel drive where it's likely to be a wheel attack on the rear wheels. Now, we've got less torque than the Golf. The Golf has 235 Newton meters and we have, 179. Which is odd for a turbo engine. We normally have quite a lot of torque. Probably if we look back here because it's only a 1.4 litre engine as opposed to a 2.8 litre engine. But it's the way I've done things. I've used an air-to-air intercooler. That's because in my experience they're a lot lighter. You'll see 6.1 kilograms there, 18.7 there. I mean, sure, maybe could make a lot more power out of it, but I just don't want to do that because it would make a lot more power that we don't really need with a lot more weight that we don't really need. Now, it's 113 kilos. It's probably about 25-ish kilograms heavier than it was before. So it's not too bad in that respect, especially not considering how much more power we make almost 50 horsepower more. I did go for single point electronic fuel injection originally to try and save money, but it reduces power too much. Not quite as badly as it's showing there, but it does reduce power in a way I don't quite like. Ignition timing and all that is set up. Ignition timing likes sticking around 50, that's what I tend to find. It seems strange that it does, but it just does. The RPM limit is not needed changing, it's just happy like that, which is strange when an engine takes a turbo conversion. The exhaust is massive, but as you'll see there, it does like being massive. The power tends to drop ever so slightly if I make the exhaust any smaller than that. It's hard to tell, but it is happening. And we've got a single reverse flow muffler. Although we could replace that with two baffled, to be honest. I think they are cheaper. Yeah, they are cheaper than one of the reverse flow. I didn't really mess with that. I don't need to because it doesn't affect stuff. Still, I'll let you hear the turbocharged engine now. So you'll hear it's basically the turbo screaming. It gets a lot of power from the turbo. As I said, almost 50 horsepower. The boost isn't actually that crazy. It's just from setting up the turbo smartly I'm able to get this power. It's only 12.7. I say only 12.7 psi. I think that's quite high, but 12.7 psi compared to I've built cars that say have 40. It supposedly hits 150 miles per hour as well. We're beating the Volkswagen here because the Volkswagen only hits 140 miles per hour. Very nice to see we're getting good results there. And the miles per gallon, that's where the compromises come in. I'll also mention the 0 to 60 time is 0.4 seconds quicker. But the miles per gallon at 24.9 is just over 3 miles per gallon lower than the Volkswagen. It's not great, but then remember it is a quicker car and it does have more power, so you have to expect a compromise somewhere. We've also gone with a geared limited slip differential to help put the power down. You see loads of wheel spin if I don't do that. I've actually kept the hard long life road tyres though, as it reduces miles per gallon otherwise. Or does it? I don't know. Where's miles per gallon? It's not on this menu. Yeah, it reduces it by 0.2. So I didn't want that to happen. And wheel spin isn't too dreadful with hard long life, so I'm just using those. I wonder what semi-slicks do. 6.8 0 to 60 on them, and it's only 7 with hard life. So you get the idea. We can save a bit of money there when you don't really need to spend it. Now the colour as well. I don't think I showed you this yet. Maybe I did. It's a new design. I've just blocked off air because I couldn't bother to design a car properly. And we've got the brakes. Two 90mm 2 pistons on the front, solid discs all round, and two 25mm on the rear. We have a fully clad undertray, no aero adjustment whatsoever, and cooling that is no longer relevant. Oh dear, we're going to lose our top speed and lose our economy, I suspect. Sad, sad moments are happening for this vehicle. We've not lost that much economy, okay, I'm good with that. Not lost too much economy or too much speed. There, so I just need to reset this up because all my work has gone to waste. But still, if we bother to get this correctly, oh dear. I seem to have forgotten how to make a vehicle. Miles per gallon is only going down. That can't be a good thing. Right, so 7.0, is it worth it? No. I'll just keep it 6.9. This is worrying. This is worrying competition to the Volkswagen. As in, worryingly bad. We're now almost 5 miles per gallon below it. We'll just have to use brutal speed as our selling point, because saving a planet is not exactly our strong suit. We could add more weight with a premium cassette, but I don't think it's necessary. Or it's standard cassette even for that matter. But it's just something to go along. Set up for comfort again because the weight balance will have changed. And we have an 1106.3 kilogram car. Still a decent amount lighter than the Golf, which if I look again, 1155 kilos. So almost 50 kilos lighter. Not the hugest amount in the world, but it's a victory nonetheless for me. Although we've done it with cheaper interior kind of stylings. So that's why. It red lines at 8800. It has 58% at the front and 42% at the rear. That's not too bad for this kind of vehicle. Now I'm going to take it around the test track and see how it does. Okay, so it's been around the track and I got a 2 minute 30.15 time. Pretty good all in all. It puts it just below the Core 2 Duo Super Sport ban by 0.01 seconds. 0.04 seconds, sorry, should I say. That's a vehicle that you didn't see because the video was just going on a bit and I decided not to publish it, and it's just above the country land drop by a few seconds. Just over 3 seconds actually. So all in all, decent enough performance. What we really want to see if it's better than though is the Tortoise Turbo. And boy it is. It's around 7 seconds quicker than the Tortoise Turbo. So not bad on that front. And there's also a turbo. But this is a smaller engine. I believe a Tortoise Turbo was a 1.8 or a 2 litre or something along those lines. And this isn't. It holds up though. And I'm just thinking, because the car is clearly decent enough in its own right, if I go with some sport tyres, then perhaps I could get better performance out of it. Better track performance, that is. And yeah, I'm going to try and somewhat adjust this if I can ever get the hang of how the controls work. I'm just adjusting the wrong thing. Like, I mean to adjust the spacing, but I'm not. And that's the wrong way. The wrong way for economy, probably the wrong way for speed as well. And we can balance it somewhere along here. There we go, 51. I think that's what we were on actually. But that's right for the speed, so it's slightly quicker in that respect. We also have to look at the pricing. So for this type of vehicle, I don't think that's too bad, honestly. 13,500 should be good money for it. Again, if we change the tyres, this will get cheaper. Same as it would get faster with these tyres. But we're dealing with what we're dealing with, so I'm going to take it round and return when I've done that. Okay, so we've taken it around the track again with the soft tyres, and it's done a 2 minutes, 26.57 time, which is better. It's still not perfect, but for a vehicle of the era, 1992, it's done remarkably well. It's 6 seconds behind the Speedimer Bob, which is a modern rear-wheel drive sports car, so, you know, for a 90s era vehicle, that is not bad at all. It's also behind the Boatimut hatchback by just under 3 seconds, and that, again, is very good for a vehicle from the early 90s, especially a passenger car. So, I have to say I'm impressed with the soft tyres. With the hard tyres, it's about what you would expect it to do. And that's probably what it would be sold on, even if there is always the potential to change those wheels later for some more track-ready tyres. Hard just generally work well on the road. Now, if I can mess with this, I can presumably get a more suitable gear ratio. Like such. And see how much I can sell this for. There we go. 7 seconds 0 to 62. Slightly better miles per gallon. Although miles per gallon is not the strong point on this. We can probably fake the emissions tests. It is a turbo after all. So we've got fun, family sport, and sport budget is what it comes up as. Fairly reasonable. We could make a bit more profit now, I guess. Sell it for 13,500 and make 6% profit. Seems like a decent enough gain on here. And all in all, I don't think it looks too horrible. It looks kind of like a Rover 25 if someone who didn't know car design designed it, which is me. And all in all, I'm happy. And the car is finally named the CRT Pong with 88 RPM because it's the best name I could think of. So that's all I've got for this episode. So I'll say goodbye until another day.